have a long agenda. We're going to fire up and go. Terry isn't here yet. She did call and say she planned to be here, but she can come into it at any point. First deal is discussion action on the minutes from the February 16th, 2022 meeting. You were right on time.
I move we approve the minutes.
A second.
We have a motion and a second.
Scott? Melinda?
Aye.
Connor?
Aye.
I forgot that.
No, okay. Normal.
Aye.
Sorry.
Next is discussion action on the minutes from the March 23rd, 2022 special meeting.
Why is that a special meeting? I don't even remember.
Because it was called late, they didn't get it, so, but we went ahead and had a special meeting for the need.
I move that we approve these minutes.
Second.
A motion and a second.
Terry?
Aye.
Connor?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Normal.
Aye. Next is discussion action on the financial report ending March 31st, 2022.
Okay. Starting off, we have $597,263.77, $150,000 to the Alva Arena Authority, $33,831 to the Alva Bull Battle, $2,500 to the Oklahoma Lieutenant Governor's Turkey Hunt, $500 for future, $2,500 for standing, which leaves us with $402,905.77. And Lord will sign the one for their turkey hunt tonight.
So, Jody, on the quarterly tourism report,
Okay.
it still lists quarters as 2020.
Okay.
I mean, we know what they're supposed to be,
Right.
but it is a little
Confusing.
confusing when you first look at it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Does look like 22 is going to be a much better year for hotels than 21.
I hope so.
There may not be very many custom cutters here.
I saw them heading south on Sunday. I saw them heading south on Sunday, a lot of them. So.
Move that we approve the financial report.
Second.
Connor?
Aye.
Scott? Melinda? Terry?
Aye.
Lonnie?
All right. The chamber presentation of the memorandum of understanding, I'm going to move that to the end. After we, and so we can let these other people go. We have quite a few people here tonight to request things, so if your request has been heard and you want to stay, we welcome you, but if you want to leave, we're not going to be offended if you walk out the door and don't want to stay for all the things we have going on tonight. So that would make the next item discussion and action on Alva's Crazy Cool Boulevard Cruise, not to exceed $3,700.
Hey,
You're a better public figure.
the guy that won't come up there with me is actually the president of the club, aren't you?
Yes, yes.
Yes, he is, okay. Anyway, I'm here to present for the club. The cruise is on July 16th. We've had this event for several years. We even tried to keep it going during COVID and had a few extra ones because they were well attended. Most of the people that come to it are from the general area. There's pretty good crowds come. You know, it's hard to estimate how many. We think around 2,500 people, but who knows. We have bands and different things going on. Streets are usually lined with people. A lot of fun. Actually asking for a little less money this year than in the past. Do you have any questions?
See, you're adding a swap meet.
Yeah, they're having a 2-day swap meet. I believe they're going to have it across from Sonic in there, if I remember right, in Chafee's property in there. I don't know, haven't heard anything if we have very many people trying to sign up for it. Arden seemed to think there would be. I think the last time we had a swap meet was probably at the car show that I remember we had one there. And it was fairly decent, so hopefully it's something that'll give people something to go look at stuff. You know, and I'm not sure what all will come to the swap meet. You know, I'm used to going to car parts swap meets, but there are other things that come to swap meets that sell different type of stuff. So, yeah. I don't know. I think we have some food trucks coming, usually 2. Last year we had one set up at Farm Bureau building, and then I believe one was set up on out further. Several, you know, Enid has a very successful cruise, probably a little bigger than ours, but they've been going on for quite a while. Ours grows every year. I think we're starting to get more people coming down from the Wichita area to it. Initially, it was pretty local. People out of Enid and Woodward would come, and just a general area. But last time we had it, we had several out of Wichita.
Anybody have any questions? Rob, I'd entertain a motion.
Thank you, guys.
Discussion action on the big cruise and car show, not to exceed $27,700.
Okay. I'm Joe Phillips. I've been the coordinator of the car show for, I think this will be my 6th or 7th year, something like that. It's our 21st, not annual because of COVID, we didn't have it that one year, but our 21st car show. And Bank Central is on board again to be our lead sponsor, so it's the Bank Central Big Cruise and Car Show. It's put on by the race event, or the race club, which most everyone knows what the race club is. We have about 30 active members, probably 100 or so members, but about 30 active members. And we're planning on putting on the car show again September 16th, 17th, and 18th. It's always the third full weekend in September. Obviously, downtown Alva is where most of it's at. We do use the boulevard for a cruise, but most of it's downtown Alva. We have permission already with the county to use the county grounds, which are downtown. We never have really reached our goal, which was 500 cars. We came close to it a few times, and I think last year we were in the 470 or something like that number. But it's a 3-day event that on Friday we have a cookout that Wendy Ford has sponsored in the past. And then Saturday, pretty much all-day car show. Friday night we have a little cruise on the boulevard, or actually it's downtown for the Friday night cruise. And then Saturday, lots of events, which we say it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, but there'll be people down there about 6 o'clock setting up, putting their cars, getting their perfect spot that they've had for years. And we're not changing any of our events. Some of you probably seen them Facebook, to where some of our events may be deleted. At this point in time, we're not planning on changing any of our events. We do have some other people coming on board to may help with some of them, but we're still going to have the burnout on Saturday night, and the Woe and Go and the autocross, and we'll have a few food vendors in the sheriff's parking lot, and actually a couple of new ones this year. One of them is going to be a old-fashioned soda person. I think may have been in Winoka. I think they were telling me they were in Winoka last weekend. But old-fashioned soda, we have we have stayed away from. We've had several people actually ask about serving beer, and we do not serve beer, and that's something that we probably, at least while I'm doing it, we're not going to do. It just kind of creates problems. But anyway, and then Sunday we will have our big trophy presentation early Sunday morning. We have the church, Hopeton Church, sponsors a breakfast for us downtown at the Extreme, and then we will have some type of a drag race on Sunday, Sunday afternoon, a little bit later. Okay, we are asking. You can read that sheet and see what all it cost us. In our revenue, and there is a little gap there of $7,140 gap there, but we actually have money in our account, and some of these things may not possibly end up happening, but this is what we have planned for. Our total expenses, which just keep going up, seems like every year, but $65,610. We're asking for $27,700, which percentage-wise is a little bit less than last year. I think last year we asked for $28,800. I'm not sure if we used all that, but I know we asked for that much last year. I don't remember the exact number. Jody, do you have that by chance? What we actually collected? But anyway, I know we asked for that much, $28,800 last year. And some of the things that we are asking for, for the tourism to help pay Obviously, the advertising, which these little pamphlets that we actually, last year was our first year that we did them. We actually made a booklet instead of just a little fold-over 3-page paper. And there's, lots of people, lots of Alva people are sponsoring. But it gives a little bit of the history. It's a lot better pamphlet than what we've had before, I think, anyway. We have, we're asking $6,800 for advertising and brochures. Sanitation seems like that's a lot of money, but I think last year we put out 16 different porta potties. We got a really good guy he's actually from Tologa, that I'm working with that is able to get those up here and get them out of here in a reasonable amount of time. In the past, we've had them sitting there a week, and that's not a good deal. So the sanitation is a big part of it, and we get our trophies from Woodward. Trying to think what the name of that place over there is called. But anyway, we get our trophies from Woodward. Entertainment, this year we have, I know a couple things that we actually have on board. We have the axe throwing trailer again. A guy from Enid comes over with the trailer, and we have some, he sets up and we throw axes. We have actually added some things to that. We're going to have a few more events to try to make that a little bit more popular and put him probably over in the sheriff's parking lot where it'll be a little bit more accessible. Before it was over on a corner spot. Still a lot of people used it. And then we also have, he's not a 405 race car guy, but we have and I can't think of the name of it, Norval, you may help me, that company that we're using he's got a 56 Chevrolet station wagon that's hot rod type vehicle.
It's the Stone Cold Customs.
Stone Cold Customs.
It's actually a pickup on a NASCAR chassis that they have made street legal, and is doing the Optimus Street Challenge around the United States.
And he's wanting to do our autocross. Yeah. So anyway, I think that'll be something that people will want to come and watch. So I don't know. That's about all I have. Like I say, we're asking for $27,700. And I entertain questions if anybody has any. Obviously, one of the largest, I'm not going to say it's the largest because some of these people, it seems like they're getting bigger and bigger as well. But one of the largest events that we have in Alva. Motels are generally full. At least they have been in the past. And a lot of it depends on weather. Obviously, if we don't have good weather, we're not going to come and ask for $27,000 either. If some things get canceled. But a lot of it depends on the weather. And we've been very fortunate with the weather. We've had some times when we had to postpone it for a little bit, maybe send some of the cars to some garages and stuff, but it seems like it's always worked out.
I move that we approve the amount for $27,700 for the big cruising car show.
We have a motion and a second.
Connor?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Linda? Terry?
Aye.
Norman?
Aye.
We appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
It's a good event.
Next is Alva Boys Summer League, not to exceed $1,950.
So we started a summer league here last year, and we hosted it at the ARC because they have air conditioning, and we got quite a few local teams to come, and so this is a request to help us pay for officials to make that a little more financially sound in the future. And we have one team for sure that will be staying in town. Balco will be coming to it this year. It's every year we hope to just add a few more teams, and then when we get the air conditioning at the high school, then we would have 4 courts. Coach Gore is also going to try to get a summer league started there too. So another event to try to bring a few more people into town and keep our kids in town as much as we can. You guys have any questions about it?
So what's the difference in a league and a tournament? I mean, is this not a multi-day tournament, basically?
It basically is. I mean, it's just what people end up calling it. The OSSA has kind of some specific definitions, and you're limited to 2 tournaments and 2 camps, but your summer leagues are unlimited. So you go to as many summer leagues as you want, so a lot of people call them summer leagues so that they can get more games in.
I personally think this is something Alva should have been doing
Right.
a long time ago. So
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
you look at some of these other summer leagues that are going on that are, 3-4 day deals that are, like Frontier Camp, things like that, bringing in, big schools from a long ways away. It's good competition. With Alva having Northwestern and all that, having all of those sports and the ability with the rec center, the high school, Northwestern, even the practice gym at Northwestern that got redone. My only deal is the commitment to growing it, getting better schools, better competition, which would bring the larger crowds and from further away, would be the point of this committee. So the commitment to growing it and all that would be my only deal. Otherwise, I think it's great. It's something that should have been going on a long time ago.
Yeah, I think we're very concerned about making sure that people stay overnight in the hotels. That's a big deal.
Right. Yeah, the summer league thing and tournaments are both very, very competitive. Seems like everybody has one now. And so we try to be unique, especially with our tournament. And when we get to the tournament proposal, you'll see a little bit more of that.
I think these deals, it takes a while to gain credibility,
Yeah.
to wait for other schools to fulfill their commitments to other summer leagues and say, hey, we're going to not go to this one, start going to another one. So I know it takes quite a bit of time, but, year after year, it'd be a good deal. I'll make a motion to approve the full amount. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second.
Melinda, Terry,
No.
Scott, Connor,
Aye.
Norman.
Aye. All right, next is discussion and action on the Alva NWOSU shootout, not to exceed $5,600.
So this is also for officials. We got this started last year, and what we did last year was we worked with Northwestern to take their small school tournament and mesh it with some of our schools that are more our size. And it went off really well. We knew when we started it that what we would see is the small schools start to drop off, opening up spots for a big school tournament. And now that the tournament was solidified, we would have a better chance to recruit those teams. So last year, Wynnewood stayed in the hotels, and that was the only team. They were driving the furthest. Putnam Heights Academy would have stayed, but they were an alternative school, and it was forbidden by the Oklahoma City Public Schools for them to stay. So they drove it. So this year, Wynnewood, Cherokee, and Putnam Heights Academy are leaving the tournament, and we are replacing them with Catoosa, Western Heights, and Pawhuska. So 2 4A teams and a 2A team will be joining the tournament, and we really feel like one more year we're going to get that pretty solidified with better competition in it. Along with that, we're going to have a JV tournament going on in the old high school gym, and we think that will help us bring in people because maybe those kids that maybe don't get to play a whole lot, their folks and grandparents will come see them play and stay in town too. So we're anticipating those 3 new teams will stay in hotels. They have not confirmed that with me, but if I'm the coach, I'm not driving them back and forth every night to play on that. So what we're requesting is $5,600. That is what our officials cost us this past year. When we first put this proposal out last year, We were anticipating $3,600 is what the officials would cost, but it turned out to be $5,600. And, you know, we love living here in Alva, but not everybody wants to drive out here to Alva to referee a ball game, and so we had to pay pretty well to get good officials, which is one of the things that solidifies a tournament. Coaches want to see state tournament officials refereeing their games, and we have made a commitment to do that. We got to host 2 days worth of games, and so we got the gate on those 2 days, and we went to Northwestern. The high school got the gate, but we didn't get the concession because Bill Johnson has a contract with Northwestern for that. So we really felt like we would probably get closer to, I think we made 2,000, and we thought we'd get closer to about 4,500. And so that is our request for $5,600 to cover the officials. Do you guys have any questions about the tournament or the future of it?
Well, a couple of things. First off, I think for a point of clarity, where it's participation fees for teams, when I signed off on the paperwork last year, Alva is one of those teams. They got paid to play at their own tournaments. But one of our board members brought out a deal. Actually, this article's written by Marion. It's about the Board of Education getting $10,000 donation from Shared Trust for this tournament.
Yeah, we did. That will cover the fees for the teams. That's what the intent of that is for.
It's not showing in your revenue stream.
Okay. My apologies.
So that would make your revenues
Yes, it would.
completely different and the balances different. And I love the tournament, don't get me wrong.
Right.
It's our job to
I understand.
do.
Yeah.
But I think the tournament is awesome and it's, it needs to happen. And now I'm a big fan of tournaments that bring people in for the weekend type of thing.
Yeah.
But it's true. Wants to point that out, and needs to consider that on whatever we do.
Once we fill this with big school teams, the intent is to reboot the small school tournament and help Northwestern get that up and running. That was my agreement with Mr. Franz when we stepped in to take over. So ultimately, the idea is to have three. We have our JV tournament, small school, and varsity tournament. There'd be 3 tournaments going on in the same weekend in Alva.
Why would you have them on the same weekend and not on different weekends? I was just curious.
The reason for that is when you hire a refereeing crew, what we do is we hire a guy that assigns all the officials for our tournament. And what those guys do is they'll work multiple tournaments. So say they come up here and they work our tournament and then maybe they go to Garber. Well, if we could have them in the same weekend, they can work both tournaments and drive 5 minutes across town to do that. And that's a recruiting tool on our part to be able to make sure that we retain the best officials.
I'm just kind of thrown off, reviewing this and coming in and seeing that. I just
My error on the sheet. I wasn't trying to hide it from you.
I'm not saying that. I just my deal last year when we approved it is growth, getting the better competition, further schools away, and that's you did that. You cut the competition, or you doubled the competition. Eliminating the small schools and bringing the small schools in. I just,
if you add in the 10,000, I'm not sure that there's a huge need for this money for the officials because, know,
Yeah, I just don't want to hinder it.
yeah, I don't wanna hinder it either.
That's, you know, that money,
Yeah, because if you look at the revenue stream, it's not showing the
Right.
5,600 in the revenue stream either. So you add that in there, then the revenue stream becomes 20, comes right at $27,000.
So, so in the future, I should list what we're requesting in the revenue stream part?
A lot of people do.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
makes-
And definitely anything that you are getting or anticipating on getting. Like-
Sure.
Like most of them, like if they have sponsorships from local businesses, you know, they'll have a sponsorships line and
Right.
so.
Fair enough.
so adding that
Sure
in
we do
there
that.
clears that up and makes this
Mhm.
good, right?
Yeah, it makes the cash flow.
Well, yeah, yes, it does. And I know, so like we made 2,000, and to start off the tournament, we started off with nothing really. So we were floating that out of boys basketball activity account rather than the tournament account because we really didn't have the money to get started. So when you look at that 2,000, it really doesn't get us started in the tournament. So that's why we came to ask for this money to cover the officials. And like I said, I made a clerical error filling this out, and we'll do a better job of that in the future though.
Yeah, there's no motion, is there a next step, or?
Usually what I do, if there's not a motion, if it doesn't appear there's going to be a motion, I'll put a 60-second clock on the motion, and if nothing happens, it dies for lack of a motion.
I mean, I want this to be good.
Right.
But if that clears that up, I don't think I'll make a motion if that's gonna keep things good. But I hate that 60-second clock, so I don't wanna sit here for 60 seconds and stare at each other, so.
And it's running right now, I've already started out.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do the awkwardness and look at each other, so. Nobody else has anything.
And I think as you get closer, I mean, this is a long ways off.
Right.
You know, if you're crunching the numbers and you feel that you're gonna need some money, you're more than welcome to come back to this
That's
committee.
what I was wondering.
I mean, the way I look at these things, I mean, all
You
the
know,
softball
bring us
tournaments.
fresh numbers and say, I gotta have it, you know, or whatever. So,
These deals, I
We're
know,
all about tournaments.
I know these
Love
deals
that.
can get huge, so, and that's what I would want, I know that's what you want, so I don't want to not help, so.
Okay, fair enough. Appreciate you listening to me.
All right,
Thank you.
60 seconds up, it dies for lack of a motion. All right, next is discussion action on 2022 Nescatonga Arts Festival and inaugural sugar show not to exceed $8,800.
Hi, Erin. I'm really excited about this.
I
I can't wait to come to it.
Did you bring samples?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what about cookies?
obviously, that's for sure, this is really getting into the
We can share.
One of that.
Sorry.
No, that's all right.
Water hand.
At this point, you have all the information.
That's fine.
This is the handout that gets.
So this is the registration place.
And this is the information that gets. This is for,
I don't know, sign it. I should show
this is to let them know kind of what to expect. You know, what they could.
Not that I have it.
Okay. Hello, good evening. My name is Erin Davis, and I am the current Nescatunga Arts and Humanities Council President, and I am presenting on behalf of our council. And so this is the Nescatunga 51st Annual Arts Festival and inaugural Sugar Show. Tonight we also have April Ridgway, who is our Sugar Show coordinator, here to answer any questions that you may have about the Sugar Show. From the form, it gives you all the information on, we're going to be doing it on the downtown square, on the Woods County Courthouse lawn, and then the quilts will be displayed inside the courthouse. We'll be able to use those bathroom facilities for the event as well. And the Sugar Show will be held in the Extreme Building. We have secured a rain location, and that will be at the Four Generations Organic Building in case of inclement weather. We will be starting the event at 9 a.m. is whenever festivities really kick off, but we will also be holding a breakfast line that will start at 8 a.m. And so that will be one of our fundraisers. We will also have our gourmet food booth as our main fundraiser for the event, and that will be available all day for our event. And let's see, we have a ton of really cool things happening this year. We have a lot of children's activities that we've lined up for this year. We will have inflatables, we will have a dunk tank, we will have the train Bill Springer brings out of the Helena Lions Club. He'll have that set up. We will have face painting. We will have Brat's Menagerie porta petting. Boss Music will be there. He'll be doing sound for us. Our entertainment chair has lined up music starting at 9 a.m. until the last set is at 2:30. It'll end by 2:30. And so we will get out of the way, and then I know that the other event that day has already been approved, and that is the Salt Fork June Jam, and that will take over right after our event. And so this would allow an event to be from 9 a.m. in the morning to 9 p.m. at night. Our artists and crafters will be set up on the north side of the lawn, and then it's going to be really, really fun. We're really excited. So looking at the expense sheet, we are asking for, I kind of split down, broke down the advertising costs that we are planning and expecting to pay. So for radio advertising, we have $1,000 there, newspaper $2,000, online digital advertising $500. Whenever you look at, if every single category that we have was to get a place for first, second, third in each one of our categories, that amount actually comes to $4,000. But when we looked at what we actually paid our artists in their awards from 2019, which is the last time that we actually had Nescatunga, that amount was $1,475. And so that's why on the actual ask, it's only $2,000 for the cash awards to artists. Our entertainment, we have $1,000 within that budget that Macy Sutter, who's our entertainment chair, has been given with her budget to bring entertainment to our event. And the Sugar Show presenters, April, do you want to say anything on that?
We are still trying to, since we last proposed this, and we were canceled by COVID, the organization that I was drawing my judges from has dissolved. They lost a lot of members to COVID, and they decided that they would call it. So I'm kind of scouting around to find people that can still come and judge for us. I'm still in the process of doing that right now. But we had put aside some money in the budget to pay their gas and then for their expertise. And we're also hoping to hold them over in the afternoon and have some demonstrations, some like either demonstrations or workshops for people in the area who are interested in furthering their skills. So the people who enter, we're going to invite them to stay and enjoy that. So that is still being lined up right now. But we're hopeful that will come together soon.
And then those other costs are outlined right there. That's the price that we've got with the Cherokee train. The SGA inflatables and dunk tank, that's $200, and then the Bratz Menagerie Porta Petting, that's $300. So I'm open to questions, whatever you'd like to ask.
So, if this event goes well, we fund it and it goes well, what is your plan for the future?
We plan to continue the festival every summer. And when I say every summer, I can't speak on the exact date because it's a council's decision, but I do know that we definitely plan to continue the Nescatunga Arts Festival every year. And the reason we haven't had it in 2 years, the first year was COVID. The second year is COVID still, even though our community was much more open and there were a lot of events that still happened in 2021. That as a council, it wasn't a decision that one person can make, and so that was a majority decision, and we voted, and the majority voted to cancel the festival at that time.
So, back when this committee started, the Nescatunga was probably one of the 3 largest events we had at that time in Alva, and it was a multi-day event. Or they're kind of like, Oklahoma City just finished their art show, and it was a week-long event and stuff like that. Are there any plans to string this thing out to a longer?
Just because it's been scaled back every year instead of, and when we're funding things, we want to fund things that are going to grow, not that are not going to grow, right, or not being.
And the way this committee gets their funds is from people staying in the hotels. And I think that's what we're kind of asking.
Concerned about.
Yeah, so, I think all of us certainly support your efforts to support this event, because this is a lot of work. But, we have to be good stewards of this money. And
Right.
so, I think that's, kind of where we're going. If, if you guys have plans that it's gonna grow and it's gonna come, Nescatunga used to be Friday, Saturday, and part of Sunday. And so, when I first lived in the community, and it was, more days. And so people did come and stay overnight, and, so I think, but, I think combining it with the June Jam is great. I think that's a good idea. But yeah, so I feel like that's where we're kind of going with this.
And we're hoping with the Sugar Show that we can draw in people from all parts, because right now in Oklahoma, if you're a sugar artist, there are no competitive things you can go to. You either go to Texas or Missouri to compete. And when we first brought this idea up in 2019, there was a lot of excitement because at the time, the group that is in Oklahoma are like, oh great, we can go and we can all compete. So we're still hoping. I have canvassed Tulsa, and Max went down to Oklahoma City, and I've been over to Cherokee and Enid, passing out flyers and trying to, because this is our very first year, we're trying to get it all established and started. But I really can see that if we could get this going, there are a lot of artists that would come here. This was all inspired because I went to the Tulsa State Fair, and there was a lady over there who organized a sugar show there, and she had people coming in from all over the world. And she just started in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they told her, well, this is Tulsa, no one's going to come to Tulsa to do this. And she said, oh yeah, they will. And you would have been amazed at what was there at the Tulsa State Fair. It was world-class presentations. They were great. And it was just because she had a vision to say, okay, we're going to start. And, I think if we can get this started and get the word out, I think we can grow this to where it could expand and be, because if you'd seen the show there, they had vendors, they had exhibits, they had workshops going, and I think it was a 2-day event at that case. But we've got to start where we are right now.
Right.
And we're just, get the ball rolling this year, and we'll see what happens, so.
I think it's a really cool idea.
And I will say, the biggest thing for us is that, we are very well aware of the history of Nescatunga, and that's one of the reasons why we're trying to continue with the festival, is that, we hear from people in town all the time about, yes, we love Nescatunga, and it's been here forever. Well, the thing is that the people who organize and have done Nescatunga for so long are not the ones running it anymore. And so the thing is, we have their help, but to pull off a 3-day full event, our Nescatunga Community Council organization right now, we have maybe 6 to 8 people who are working on this full stop. And whereas Nescatunga in the past, when it's a 3-day festival, I mean, I can see the membership and I can see they had over 50 people working on that event. And so we are trying our best to keep the history and to bring that back to where it can be something like that. But right now, we have the people we have to make it happen. And then, of course, I mean, if that's a possibility to grow it into a 3-day or a longer event, that's not something we're opposed to. But we have to.
I don't think we're saying you
No,
can do it 3 days.
But, it's just going to take a lot of work to build the organization, to build Nescatunga, the council in itself and the membership along the way, to make sure that we do have the volunteers and the staff to make sure that it's a successful event for sure.
I think that's what we wanted to hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
We wanted to hear a plan.
So will there still be some artists coming?
Yes,
Okay.
we do have registrations in, and we are trying, myself, I'm not an artist, I'm just trying to help the artists come, but I've heard that, we need to try to keep the crafters separate from the artists, and so we're getting our layout of exactly where the booths are gonna go, and it's really exciting. The farmer's market is also gonna be there that morning, so it's gonna be a lot of really fun activities there, so, yes.
Well, I agree with Norval. I think you expressed what we were wanting to hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or what I was wanting to hear. Anyway, I can't speak for anyone else. So,
I'm proud of you for doing that.
Well, and I will say, Nescatunga Arts Festival, I mean, I got involved just as a help with the chamber as an intern, and just seeing how many people in the community come together to put up the tents, to bring out all the things, and it's a lot of work. And so knowing that Nescatunga has had amazing leadership for so many years, and it gets to the point where people in their lives at that point decide, I don't have the time to do it. And so I didn't want the festival to go away. And so I just stepped up to try to help be a leader of some sort so that we can continue this amazing tradition and to bring people to Alva. Because there's a lot of people that have come to Nescatunga and had absolutely no clue where we were. And so I think that it can be and it will be a great event.
No more questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we fund this at $8,800, not to exceed that.
second.
We have a motion and a second.
Melinda?
Aye.
Scott? Terry?
Aye.
Connor?
Aye.
Norman?
Aye. All right, thank you, ladies, good
Thank
luck.
you so much.
We look forward to this being a success.
Me too.
All right, next is discussion, discussion action, Alva Chamber of Commerce presentation of memorandum of understanding. We're actually not going to approve this tonight, we are just going to hear about it tonight. This is just it will actually be on the next agenda as far as approving it or anything like
No,
that.
I'm not coming back.
Well,
I'm not coming back.
yeah, but it's.
You only get me for tonight.
Yeah, but as far as the presentation.
No, I'll
yeah.
be happy to if you need me to, but I don't think you will.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we can look at that.
Let's see.
Okay, so I am here to help the chamber. Let me get all my stuff figured out here. Lots to share with you. Okay, here's what we know here. Here is the outcomes report from last year. Marketing report from last year. Last year's activities that you guys helped fund. That's the MOU, the outcomes report. MOU, outcomes report. MOU, outcomes report. And Jody, here's your copy. Oh, yeah. Mary Ann, here's the MOU, and here's the outcomes report from last year. Did you want one?
Yeah, you got enough.
I do. Okay, so I'm here to talk on behalf of the chamber, and let's start with the memorandum of understanding. Some of you may know that I worked with the chamber for about a year during the latter half of 2020 all through 21, or was it 21 through 22? Anyway, I've been work 20 to 21. And one of the things that we did, we went through a strategic plan, changed or updated a lot of policies and procedures. And one of the things that I noticed while working with Jody and with Tricia, and Connor was the chamber president at the time, was Jody was needing to submit 3 grant applications to tourism tax every year to get paid for her work providing you all with clerical support. The second one was a long-standing agreement between the city of Alva and the chamber to staff and maintain the visitor center on the boulevard. And then the third application is the most recent one that's been implemented, and that's the marketing, tourism marketing application. And in going through this, the amount of time and paper and confusion and difficulty that come from doing that process 3 times every year, I finally asked the question, why is Jody having to write grant applications to get paid for the work she is doing for you? Would any of you all want to go through that? It didn't make a lot of sense. So we met with the city manager a year ago, Tricia, Jody, myself, and Angelica. Connor, were you at that meeting? I couldn't remember. Kelly, you weren't there at that time, I don't think. Anyway, we had the conversation about how could this be improved? How could the process be improved so that the tourism tax committee's needs were being met, the chamber's needs were being met, and at the same time reducing the amount of paper and staff time and resources that it was taking to process all of this. And so we went through a pretty lengthy discussion. She felt like that it was worthwhile exploring the process of developing an MOU. We took it to Rick Cunningham, city attorney, asked him about it. Rick said draft an MOU, see what that can look like. So I did that, sent it back to him. He critiqued it, proofed it, made some corrections and amendments, fixed that. Then we brought it back and met with Norval, Kelly, Angelica, Tricia, Jody, and I, and Melissa Fisher, who is the chamber president right now. We met on Monday of this week, and at that time went through the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. So if you will look at this, what it is it's laying out the relationship between the 2 participating parties, the Chamber of Commerce and the City of Alva's Tourism Tax Committee. The purpose of the memorandum is to specify the actions, the task that each entity is doing currently, streamlining the process by which funding from tourism tax then can be provided to the Chamber of Commerce for the work they're doing, and then specifying exactly how that process can be handled more efficiently. So right now, the way it works is Jody and Tricia are having to submit requests for release of funds, requests for reimbursement, I should say. It's not release of funds, it's reimbursement. And at times, it can take up to 4 months for that money to get processed. the chamber is having to serve as the bank for tourism tax services that they're providing. And it's not a financially prudent way for the chamber to operate, and there is an awful lot of, I feel like, redundancies, inefficiencies in the process. So with this MOU, it will streamline all of that. Part of the process then is for the chamber to provide you with an outcomes report at the end of each fiscal year, your fiscal year, so that you know exactly what was accomplished with the funding support that you have provided for the services that the chamber is providing to you. And that will continue. The other piece of the outcomes report that will go along with this, but I just got the data today from Angelica, is to, I'd like to see the chamber, and I think we can get there. I'm working on it. I'll hopefully be able to start on it next week. Work to provide you with a correlation report between community-based events, university events, and sales tax collections events that you have funded, so that you all can start making decisions with a much more data-driven focus, that you understand the impact, the real impact of what you're doing in terms of funding events in the community and what it's doing to sales tax collections. Obviously, the hotels know, but what's it doing on a broader scale in terms of sales tax collections to the community? Are these events actually bringing in people who are buying groceries, gas, eating at restaurants, etc.? So within a couple of weeks, or definitely by your May meeting, you will also have that report. So that will become an annual piece of your outcomes. And so you're going to start getting a lot more data than what you've ever had before. So with that, Kelly, would you like to explain the ordinance
So
so they understand?
Norval had asked on Monday if this was something that the Tourism Commission could even do. And so I went to look at the ordinance, and, you know, I don't know, and I sent it to Jody. I don't know if it's in your packets, but I think it probably should be in each one of your binders if it's not. So Jody, if you can just add that to what they have to look at. This is your governing document. Article 5, hotel tax, section 20, 146 through 171. Those are the parts of the Alva Code of Ordinances that have to do with the hotel tax and the Tourism Committee. Under responsibilities of the committee, number 4 says, we'll contract with the Chamber of Commerce to carry out and administer the programs as developed by the committee. So is this an okay thing for the Tourism Committee to do? It absolutely is. It's specifically lined out that that's one of your responsibilities, is to work with the Chamber to do these things. The Tourism Committee was set up to always include 2 members who were appointed by the Chamber of Commerce. And so, you know, I wasn't around, I wasn't in Alva, I was around. I wasn't in Alva when the Tourism Committee was established, but I know many of you were, at least 3 of you, I'm pretty sure. But I think not only is it okay, it's one of the responsibilities that was lined out in the original documents. So wanted to clear that up in case there were any questions about it. There's other things in here, though, that I think, you know, you might find some other ways to be more efficient as a committee if you pull these out and look at them again. So was there anything else, Kay, that I need to address with that?
I think that was the main thing on your end, just so they would know that it is well within their purview to do that legally. Rick would not have.
Anybody wants it right now, I've got a copy.
If it wasn't. And then, just so you know, this is one of the tourism artifacts, if you will, that was produced this year using funding that you did. And of course, the Red Carpet Country ad that is in the Red Carpet Country magazine that's produced every year. So what you should start to see is that the chamber is using the branding that was developed by our signage program back in 2014. That branding program is used throughout their print media, the website, Facebook, all of that. So it's a cohesive look, it's a cohesive feel. People are starting to understand when they see the for example, the fonts and the colors, all of this, that, oh, that's Alva. It matters when you have a cohesive approach to everything you're doing. We're still working on Facebook, having a Visit Alva Facebook, and you all know about that, so that's coming. But Emma does do a pretty good job, I think, already with promoting through the Chamber's Facebook page and other social media platforms, all of the events and businesses and nonprofits that exist within the community. So I think they've done a great job in using the resources that they have available. And in fact, if you look at the tourism marketing report, which is the most difficult to track, they have well exceeded the amount that you all awarded them last year, which was $24,000 some odd dollars. Of course, there's staffing cost and then all of the different pieces. Now, does the website have to be developed every single year? No, of course not. It has to be maintained, and most websites have a 3 to 5 lifespan, and so you have to constantly be looking at the next step. What are you doing for the next step? And it does have a monthly maintenance fee, an updating fee, and that's part of Emma's job at the Chamber, is to keep the calendar maintained. It's part of her job to reach out to the university, to the rec park, to actually the different businesses and organizations in the community, like the car show, etc., to make sure all of that is well marketed and pushed out there. So they're doing a lot with not a lot of money. Some communities, just FYI, some communities' hotel and motel tax goes directly to their Chamber of Commerce for the purpose of marketing the community. And so this, Alva's is a little bit different. Some communities do it this way, but just so you know, it's not unusual at all for chambers of commerce to take on that major role and utilize resources that come from the hospitality tax. So, questions, comments?
So for the information for this board, this is an increase. We did increase the visitor staffing to 9,000 in September, but this tourism, the clerk services and the tourism marketing services will be about approximately, because it was 23 something, it will be approximately a $4,500 increase over what we did before. Angelica said that, and because you were doing, she wanted the other day, what she said was we needed to wait on this until the budget was approved for next year, which the council had done before we have our next meeting, and this can actually be voted on once our budget for next year has been approved. It has not been approved yet by the city council.
And that was the other thing, let me just kind of throw this in here, that because of the dates at which these 3 different applications have gone in, it's made it very difficult to keep the budget part for the chamber straight. The chamber's fiscal year is not the same as the city's. However, for this piece of the chamber overall operating budget and planning purposes, we need to get it in alignment with the city going July 1 to June 30 every year, and then the chamber's CFO and chamber board can make their plans with, in fact, we're starting work on the chamber's budget for FY23 next week. And so this will allow them to plan those things out. In Oklahoma Today, for example, you're about 6 months out when you book a spread. So you have to know what your money is before you can even call them, because they don't wait on payment. You've got to pay them relatively quickly when you book a spread. And the more you book with them, the cheaper the rates are. So it's important to know what their income piece will be so they can make those contacts and make those plans. And the same with Red Carpet Country. You've got a deadline well in advance of publication, and they expect payment, not necessarily when it publishes, but relatively soon. So there is a clear separation between what the chamber does for the retail component of its job and tourism. And so we understand that, and I think this outcomes report clearly speak to that. They've got jobs to do, but they have to know what their financial position will be before they can carry that out. Scott, you're frowning. You have questions? You're not frowning? Are you thinking? Do you have questions? Okay.
And how many people are members of the chamber, or how many businesses?
We have roughly 180.
That's good.
That is good.
I think, if it's okay, Norval, if I talk a little bit about this.
It's absolutely okay.
I feel like the inception of this tax was to work hand in hand with the chamber. So I personally am in full support of this. I hope we can grow this partnership. I think it's really important, and I'm really glad that Jody's, I'm proud of the work you're doing, and I'm proud of what you're doing for Alva, and I think that this is really good. I feel like, supporting this community and promoting it was the intent of the tax in its inception. So that's, anyway, from a long time ago.
I would like to add the ladies who presented their request immediately before I got up here, they didn't bring this to your attention, but as part of what the chamber does, it has its finger on the pulse of events going on, because they've got to plan how they're going to promote. That weekend of June 4th, you're concerned about Nescatunga being a 3-day or multi-day thing, I get it. There's a 3-day softball tournament at the rec park that weekend. There is a golf tournament at the golf course that weekend. Last year, when we had Salt Fork for the first time, we had people, Joe Parsons has been a great partner with us on that. I sent him out to talk to people in the crowd, and there were a lot of folks who came to Salt Fork from the rec park while they were waiting on games. So it's a good thing that we can market. We need to be able to market multi-events going on in the community. And without the chamber having that capacity and Facebook and Instagram, et cetera, it would be impossible for us to do that. There will probably be about 5,000 to 6,000 additional people in Alva the weekend of June 3rd, 4th, 5th. So just FYI. And the chamber knows they need to contact hotels, eateries, et cetera, so they've got adequate inventory and staffing to handle it.
You must have a call when there's something big going on that we don't realize, because, I try to keep up with it, but there's sometimes it sneaks up, and I'm just like, where are these people coming from? So, that would be great.
Can I just add, if there are any questions that anybody would need an answer to before the next meeting, don't hesitate to let us know. It might be something we have to dig for, but, depending on what the question is, but we want you to be able to have enough information to approve it.
Just for this committee's information, if we approve this at the next deal, based on the chamber's expenses from last year, we'll be funding a little over 40% of the chamber, which is a big change from when we started.
No.
That's not right.
It was 103,000 that they spent last year. We talked about that Monday. That was the chamber's total budget last year.
But their budget
You're
is,
asking for 43.
Where do they get their money from besides dues and us?
That's it.
Okay, because if they're.
sponsorships,
Yeah,
sponsorships and,
But
They
it
should get about
pays for the
78,000 from the
events.
businesses. It was 1/3, I believe, because it went up $100 this
it's
year.
1/3, Norval, it's 1/3 of their budget, what comes
Norval
from.
spoke correctly. It's for last year's budget, which is what you referred to. That's correct.
Yeah.
They're on pace for 120,000
For the upcoming,
for this present year.
dealing with COVID and not being able to do a community guide, there was a lot of activities that were normal chamber stuff were not allowed to happen. But they're already in the process of doing the community guide, which is, how much is that going to generate, expected generation for chamber? About 4,000?
I was gonna say 3.
About 3,000 to 4,000, depending on the number of ads, that typically has been part of their budget. But it didn't happen for the 2 COVID years. So their budget this upcoming year is quite a bit more than what it was last year. But for right now, about 1/3 of what they do is in terms of staff time, resources, and that's, everything from paper, mileage, etc., computer use, copy machine use. It's tourism related. It'd be great if tourism was almost half of what the chamber did, but they're gonna have to have more in the way of staff to do that. Questions?
Anybody have any more questions for Kay? All right, we
Okay,
appreciate it.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Last thing is,
Anybody wants this, you can have
any remarks or inquiries? Anything,
I want that.
anything happening on the, have you been doing any arena events yet?
No, I thought I needed to be voted on.
She said she would check on it, and if you did, it would be on this agenda.
Oh, okay then. Okay, I'm sorry.
Whether I could